Hey, what's up? Mr. Bill here. Before you listen to this episode, I just wanted to tell you about a few things because that is the value that I get for doing these podcasts for free, is your undivided attention at the beginning of them. First of all, I have an Oolacile remix out now. It just came out. It's on my SoundCloud or whatever. Go to all the places and you can find it. It's on Spotify as well. This podcast is with Oolacile, so this is probably relevant information to you if you came there from his social media or mine. Hopefully you would be interested if I had new music out too. Secondly, I have a new EP coming out soon called the Halftime EP, and I'm also doing a whole tour based around this EP called Halftime Tour. I'm playing in Washington, Virginia Beach, Greensboro, Seattle, Harrisburg, Rochester, Cleveland, Arlington, Morrison, Colorado at Red Rocks, Browns Valley, California at the UNS Festival, and I'm playing again in Colorado at Sonic Bloom. If you want to know more about all those dates, go to mrbillstunes.com/tour. You can also get tickets from there and all that kind of stuff. Speaking of my website, I have a subscription-based model on there in which you can learn how to use Ableton Live. If you've ever wanted to write music or anything like that before and you have musical ideas in your head, but you just don't have the technical know-how as to like how to write music, well, my website's a pretty good place to start. It's $15 a month and there's literally thousands of hours of video content on there. I feel like if you dive into that, you should be able to learn how to write music pretty quickly. Also, through my website, you can find links to my Discord server and my Facebook group. And through there, you can hit me up personally and ask me to get certain guests on the podcast and talk about certain topics with certain guests and just stay in touch in general. And yeah, that's about it. So hopefully you enjoyed the episode. Go check out all those things and have a good day.
Hey, you're listening to the Mr. Bill Podcast.
Hey, you're listening to the Mr. Bill Podcast.
Hey, you are listening to the Mr. Bill Podcast.
Hey, you're 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 listening to the Mr. Bill Podcast. Hey, you're listening to the Mr. Bill Podcast.
Hey, you're listening to the Mr. Bill Podcast.
Hey, you're listening to the Mr.
Hey, you're listening to the Mr. Bill Podcast.
Sick, man. We're doing it. Welcome to the Mr. Bill Podcast.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's happening.
We're here.
Yep. Yeah, so basically we just talk for however long you want to talk for about anything you want to talk about.
Cool. You take the lead.
All right. We could talk about how you thought my tweet was bad about the EP. So you
What?
So when this podcast comes out, it'll come out on next Monday. So I have one coming out this Monday on the 17th. It'll come out on the 24th. So what date does your remix EP come out?
On the 22nd of February.
Oh, that's perfect. So people can actually listen to the release whilst after or before listening to this podcast. So that's good.
Or simultaneously. Then just play,
they could
play the podcast over the release.
It'd be, oh man. So you know how if you play Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon over the top of the Wizard of Oz, it all links up.
Whoa.
Did you know that?
No. So they made Dark Side of the Moon as a soundtrack, unofficial soundtrack too?
No, they didn't. But some stoners, I guess, back in the day, figured out that if you start the vinyl and then play the Wizard of Oz at the same time, it just coincidentally, in a bunch of parts of the movies, syncs up really nicely.
Oh.
It's
so not the entire thing, but...
No, but I mean, I don't know. I watched you can go to YouTube and type in Pink Floyd Dark Side of the Moon Wizard of Oz and and somebody's made this and watched it and done that already. And you can kind of see, I don't know. To me, I watched it and I was like, it sort of syncs up in some parts and other parts it's, I don't know. If you're really high, I could see it making sense.
Whoa.
Yeah, this is definitely working way too well. But maybe this podcast over the top of the remix release would be like that. It'd be it just turns out we accidentally make a coincidental thing where if you layer it over the top of the release, it's just commentary for the release.
Yeah. Or we can just pause the podcast right here, play the remix EP in our ears, and then we speak to the rhythm of it. Or we just have a metronome at 140 BPM right now going.
Dude, last week when I did the Frequent podcast, literally the first thing I started talking about was also Twitter shit. I was like, hey, Nolan, so you made a tweet one day that said, not being able to mix down your tune as a whole aesthetic now in 2020 or 2019 or whatever. Like, what's that tweet about? And then he also made that tweet about rhythm DJs, like how it was like chopping rhythm together is like easier than chopping carrots or something like that. And what do you think about that tweet? Like,
his tweet?
Yeah, we already got like Frequent's thoughts on this, like on the Frequent podcast. So now it'd be interesting to get your thoughts on that because you're a rhythm DJ. So like, I know the general consensus from the rhythm community was like, "Fuck this kid."
What are we talking? We're talking about Frequent's tweet. Oh, okay. Well, I mean, it's kind of a weird thing because he's like a really good producer, and there's like a level of like having a brain that writes music at that level, and then thinking about like DJing, because DJing itself is kind of like really easy comparatively to writing music at that level. But as far as just DJing is concerned, I think chopping and like dubstep DJing is like a more technical level of DJing than like 90% of EDM DJing. So, I mean, it's kind of like a misguided tweet, but there's like a level of truth to it. If people are like basing their whole like careers and aesthetic off of like their ability to, you know, chop dubstep, and then you're like a producer that like makes really complicated, beautiful music, I can understand why it's like stupid to you. But, you know, I think there's a degree of truth to it, but overall a dubstep DJ I think is a lot harder or just more technical and like makes sets more engaging and entertaining than just someone who transitions between songs or whatever.
Yeah, I think it was actually you that told me like I should do more active mixing in my sets, and I think I've started to do that recently, and I kind of appreciate it more now. Like when I see a dubstep DJ play, I'm like more appreciative of it because I know like how hard it is now. I find it just more fun as well because I don't know, like before that I was trying to make my sets more fun by doing like live shows and shit like that, and like I did a whole tour with a drummer that had like synced visuals to it, and like I was trying to like make it technical in other ways, but I definitely see the appeal to just being like, fuck it, I'm just going to write tunes and then try and make the set technical by just playing more tunes at the same time, pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of like, I remember when we first started to become friends, like you really didn't understand like dubstep at all. And that's a really common thing. Other people who make other genres of music and they come into dubstep, like this is like a really weird, like what you guys do is not that cool. And then like they get into it themselves and they like realize like the amount of work and like technicality that actually goes into like making like a at least like an innovative or like a good dubstep tune. I mean, granted, like any genre you can like emulate or do whatever, but yeah, especially when it comes to DJing, as I said, like dubstep DJing is probably like one of the most technical. You have DJs like Subtronics and like Squento and stuff that are playing like 3 or 4 songs at a time, and they're like anyone could play 3 or 4 songs at a time, but to make 3 or 4 different songs from different people come together and sound like one new cohesive thing is like really like a awesome skill, and like makes sets so engaging because you really don't know what's going to happen. Like, and I think there's an art to that. I mean, also there is like a degree of impressiveness to the opposite, like anticipating things, you know, that's kind of what like techno is or whatever.
Right.
But dubstep is the opposite. It's like adverting your expectations, and to do something in a way that like makes sense is really cool. Yeah, especially finding songs that work together is like a whole like art form and takes a lot of time.
I think the reason why people from other genres find it uncool, like maybe people like Frequent, why he made that tweet, or people like me before I like got into dubstep as much, you know, I would like slight on dubstep people a little bit and shit. I think the reason why is because it's such a heavily rewarded thing to do, right? So like you have these people who are making like 5 figures a set, and you know they have like shitloads of followers and they're getting a lot of attention and stuff like that. And I feel like once someone is getting rewarded that hard and there's so much attention on those kind of people and whatnot, it just becomes very susceptible to like scrutiny.
Yeah, and I think that's like an interesting psychology thing too, because it doesn't mean that it's like not less valuable, but like it like has kind of a complicated sort of topic, because yeah, Frequent's brain is probably like working at a higher level than like a rhythm DJ's brain is. So it doesn't so it doesn't make sense for like
about that, to be honest.
Like, no, I mean, I don't know. I think so. I mean, someone who like spends most of my time producing and is like a rhythm DJ and does both of that stuff, I have like more of like a respect for someone like him who like produces at his level than like.
The way I see Nolan is like, I love Nolan, but the way I see him is he's this kid who like sits in his basement smoking heinous amounts of weed and just like going in on very detailed music. I don't necessarily think that means he's like brain is operating at a higher level. I think he's just very like, he just goes like very focused in on these like super detail oriented pieces and shit.
Yeah, and that's working at a high. Anyone who focuses that hard on anything is doing something at a higher level than someone who is like absent-mindedly doing something or doing something for like like emulating something or not giving it its attention. Anyone who does anything like exceptional is doing that. Like whether they're smoking heinous amounts of weed while doing it or not is like that really separates, you know, people who work at a higher level is their ability to focus on something and really get down into the nitty gritty of it.
So do you think music then that just has more detail in it is
no, not inherently better, no. But for someone like me,
not inherently better, but inherently higher level?
Yeah, I think I think when you I think, well, it also depends because I was going to go back into like earlier when you were mentioning, I kind of got sidetracked with a frequent, like, because I was going to say that like pop music, like people talk shit on pop music a lot, but like that is a simpler form of music, but it also has a skill set into it. And yeah, it's really stripped down and simple, but there's also an art and a really like masterful skill into making something simple, something that's catchy. And
yeah, I would agree. I think it's really easy to put everything into a track. I think it's really hard. So one problem that I have a lot, and I think a lot of producers have this a lot, is you, in some point in the process, start to value things in the song that you invested a lot of time and effort into. So like, for instance, if I spend half a day making a snare, and then that snare is in the song, but it's like the song is just not hitting properly, and then I go into a cymatics pack and import snare number 1 from sample pack number 1 that they ever released into my song, and it works perfectly, there'll still be a huge part of me that's like, no, I shouldn't do it.
Yeah, no, I'm the same way, like definitely. And like you start to make like, and that's I'm maturing more as like a artist. Like the more time I do it, where I'm
that's
getting
the pop music producer maturity, right? Is they would pick sample number 1 and be like, it works perfectly, fuck it.
Yeah, exactly. And that's a different level, like different mindset for sure. No, yeah, and that's another interesting topic is like having like you being able to set like your ego aside or like the amount of time you've invested in things for like the betterment of your piece. But yeah, going back into the other thing about like loads of detail, I think being able to put loads of detail into something, but making it work and like be something that like people can digest on a large scale is another like form of mastery that's like really impressive. Cause like anyone can jam tons of detail into something, but it doesn't come together. Like it just, you know, and it becomes like nonsense to most people. Maybe it makes sense to the person who wrote it. Like I definitely have music that like makes sense to me, but like definitely I know would be random to tons of other people. But yeah, I think being able to do like crazy detailed music with a cohesive idea behind it is something that's really impressive. And also the opposite, something that's super refined and simple, but tricks you into thinking that like, or doesn't trick you, but entertains that part of your brain that desires for something complicated. You know, there's different degrees of art and skill and everything.
For sure. Yeah. We should talk about your remix release though. We don't have to talk about my tweet, but we can just talk about the release in general. I mean, fuck, I'm plugging your release for you right now, like on a platform that's probably bigger than my Twitter.
Yeah, hell yeah.
And also the people who are listening to this podcast are way more engaged than people on Twitter.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, especially if they've gotten like, what are we up to? Like 12 minutes. If they've listened 12 minutes in there, they're
invested. They're in invested. This. There's no going back. No. They're like on a car ride right now from like Northern California to Southern California.
Yeah, that's 100% of the fan base.
Yeah, or they're going from like somewhere in the Midwest to somewhere else in the Midwest.
Definitely.
Yeah.
They're going from Peoria, Illinois to Joliet, Illinois.
Yeah.
Or Joliet or something.
Dude, I guarantee you there's one person super stoned in his car and he's like, fuck, how did he know?
Most likely.
Yeah. And then he's saying, fuck, how do you know I just said that?
He just like
crashes his car. The simulation. Yeah, anyways. Yeah, the remix thing.
So what made you want to do a remix release in the first place?
So yeah, basically what I wanted to do, I always kind of really wanted to do a remix pack. I tried to do one before in the past with a different release. But it just kind of became too much of a hassle at the time because I do everything on my own. Like I'm like a self-released, self-managed artist, so I have to coordinate.
Yeah, we can go down this hole for a minute, but we should also talk about that at some point, like self-managing and stuff.
Oh yeah, we can go to that next. But yeah, anyways, so yeah, it's just kind of hard to coordinate like all these people, like tons of artists, and then also coordinating like my day-to-day life, writing music and touring and stuff like that. So that takes time. Yeah, and in the past it just, you know, kind of like fell into, but this time I really cracked down and committed it, and it took a lot of time to get everyone on board. Some people like made remixes and then their management like pulled it, or some people like got stuck and like couldn't finish it or something. So I had to like, you know, it just takes time to get that thing
How do you
all
feel,
bit together.
Yeah, I feel that. How do you feel about people's management pulling their stuff off releases?
I think it really depends, because like, I mean, you don't know the mindset of the manager. I think sometimes it can be a good thing to say no to things, but I feel like there's definitely that balance, and sometimes people, you know, may pull away opportunities that really shouldn't be pulling away. Like sometimes, yeah, like I think a lot of managers are afraid that doing something too small is going to make your artist like look small or something, like in the public eye.
Right.
But I think there's things that, you know, like if you should just be constantly being active and growing your fan base and exposing yourself to as many people as possible if there's time for it, if it fits into your schedule. Yeah, so I mean, yeah, I think there's a degree to it. You definitely shouldn't let your artists do things that are beneath them, quote unquote, like whatever that may be, is, or however you may see that.
So like what would be an example if you were a manager and you were managing me? Like what would be something you'd be like, you shouldn't do that?
I don't know, but I think it would be weird for Marshmello to do a remix for like some random kid on SoundCloud that with like 50 followers. Like it doesn't really make any logical sense, right?
Yeah.
And you know, that's like a clear example of that mindset, but like obviously to not that degree, like especially when you're a growing artist too, they're really scared of like, you know,
making the wrong move.
Yeah, so they really just want to push you in with the guys who are already doing it, right? Or the gals or whoever's like already really established. You know, that's what they want. They want you to associate with that group. I mean, but I don't really care about that stuff. Like, and that's another thing of like me is like, for me, it's art first, and you know, sometimes that's a bad thing, and it's like kind of like sabotage me, is like me not wanting to play the game so much, because you got to play the game, you know, to get popular. Because
yeah, like one of those games, for instance, is like pixel sizes on flyers and shit, like how big your name is next to somebody else's.
Yeah,
name,
exactly. Or if you're on the left or the right or something, or above or below someone.
Right.
Yeah, all that.
If you're self-managing, you probably deal with all the time, right?
Yeah, I play that game for sure. Yeah, I mean, that's another thing. Like, you really can't, like, you kind of got to know your place too. You can't, like, as an artist, like, you know, doing your own thing. You can't
be like, oh, what, I'm on this festival with Marshmello. Fucking make
me Marshmello size. Yeah, you can't do that stuff. But I mean, like, sometimes there's things that just don't make sense that you just can't let go, you know, because someone else may have just like a crazy, more cutthroat, ruthless manager, you know, and you're like, no, like that's just, you know, I've been doing this way longer. You're like, wait, you know, stuff like that.
But it's not about how long you've been doing stuff.
No, it's not. No, it's not. It's not at all. But I mean, yeah, I mean, that's actually totally irrelevant. It's all kind of about the interests of you. And this just goes beyond me, of course. This is like, a lot of people don't actually realize, like, people listen to this, like the amount of time that goes into like the way people are billed on flyers. Crazy, that's like a crazy topic. We could probably spend the rest of this like podcast talking about flyer billing.
Well, here's the thing: is like you probably have that conversation. I never have that conversation. How do those conversations usually go?
Oh, it's like,
because I have a manager who has that conversation for me.
Yeah.
So
I typically just bring it up. And like, I would like to be here on this, and I never ask for anything ridiculous. And if they say no, then it's like, okay, you know, I'm not like gonna like throw away things, you know, for like, and that's the thing that a manager would do. A manager would like throw away the show, or like if they don't get it their way, you know, because they have to, you know, that'd be super. But for me, like, I'm not gonna not do something because it. Which I probably shouldn't go on the record. Some promoter's going to hear this and be like, "Oh, we're going to make him open." Yeah,
we're going to put him on the doors and make his name 1 pixel.
Yeah, no, but I definitely bring it up, and
we can also cut that out if you want. We have a like it's an edited podcast, meaning if at any point between now and the time it goes up, you're like, "I shouldn't have said that," we can cut it out.
But yeah, let's get back to the remix EP.
The remix release.
Yeah. So so many tangents.
Yeah. So personally, I wasn't super stoked with my remix, and the reason why is because I just didn't sit on it for long enough. Like, I find these days with music, what I need to do is and this was not the case back in the past, and So here's what I used to do in the past. I'd write a song in like no more than a day or a day and a half.
Mhm.
And then I would just instantly upload it to SoundCloud and be like, that's a finished piece of music that will be on the internet forever that I'm stoked with.
Mhm.
And then years later, I'd be like, wow, that's so fucking bad. I needed to really think about that a bit harder before I uploaded it to the internet. So now what I do is I write a piece of music and I sit on it for like at least a month, just like kind of listening to it and figuring out like all the things about it that piss me off, and then really figuring out what it is about it, like what the main shit is about it that I like. And then I go back to it and then sort of amplify the things about it that I like and remove all the shit that pisses me off. And then I feel like it's just a larger snapshot of my vibe and my emotions and my interests in music, basically, rather than just like a one day snapshot of all that stuff. Because obviously on one day your interests are not your overall interests, right?
Yeah, and like as a person, you like your brain is always changing, so you can get more perspectives on it.
Right, exactly. Yeah, exactly. And I feel like with this remix, it was sort of like one of those smaller confined things.
But why?
The reason why was because you were like, it needs to be finished by X date, and I think that the date was like within a week or something like that. And then the guy ended up, or whoever pulled out, and other shit happened, and I could have really spent more time on it.
Yeah.
But that's why.
But then you didn't. You had more time. It freed up.
You didn't. I don't know.
But yeah, I mean, but to be honest, I really like what you did.
I think you were scared about like if you gave me more time, then the whole release would just take longer and shit. So you didn't actually tell me that I could spend more time on it.
Oh, I didn't think I needed to. I mean, like while I'm doing it, you can. I mean, it's really up to you.
But I could also like feel your stress on it.
Yeah, for sure.
Being like, and I've been there before. Like I've collaborated a fucking shitload. I know the feeling of like trying to get a release together, and I never want to be the person who's like holding a release back. So I also didn't really want to spend more time on it for that reason as well, and just like hold shit up if I was or whatever. But that's how I feel about my remix. And I guess like for me to just be like, I did a thing that I don't really like is reductive. But on Twitter, you kind of have to be reductive because you only get a certain amount of letters that you can use. But I removed the tweet because, I don't know, it wasn't really adding anything to anything. But for people listening, basically I added a tweet that was a retweet of your thing where I was basically just like, I don't really like the remix I did, but this release is coming out soon. And you're like, man, you shouldn't say that. And I was like, yeah, you're probably right. And then I removed it. And then, which was probably the right call. But yeah, that tweet was up at some point. But at least
I personally really like the remix. I mean, and if I didn't like what you did, I wouldn't have put it on, or I would have like told you to do better.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's a different vibe too. And honestly, the kids on the internet are like really stoked on it too. Even in the context of a bunch of really loud bass music tunes.
That's the other thing.
They're like picking yours out as like one of their favorites.
Interesting. Yeah. So that's the other thing that I have a bit of anxiety about is that it's like literally a dubstep release from a dubstep artist on a release full of like 7 or 8 other heavy ass dubstep tunes, and then there's my shit, which is just like,
well, that's not all dubstep on there. I mean, there's a range of music, but yeah, it's all significantly
heavy,
louder, and more aggressive.
Right.
I mean, but that's nice, and that was also part of my thinking of it too, and also the way like where I put it in the package too. It ends. I mean, because the original EP has tons of melodic sections in it too, and that's basically what you done in your remix. You just like took the main melodic idea and then stretch it out into like a full on song rather than giving it like a big drop or whatever. Yeah. So a lot of the people who remixed it, you know, played on that idea too. So the song before it on the package has like a long melodic outro, and then there's your song. So if you're listening to it from beginning to end, it makes sense in context of the thing.
Who listens to releases from beginning to end these days though?
I don't know. I mean, people's attention span is so short, but I do at least. Really? Like if like an artist that I truly like I don't know, like Flume or Porter Robinson or something puts out a release, I literally put it on and I listen to it from beginning to end.
Mm-hmm. That's a good way to do it. I've been doing that more lately because I moved to San Fran and now my studio is in the lounge room, which is kind of sick. It like doesn't sound quite as good as my old studio, but now it's like if I want to take a break, I can like walk to the other side of the room and like sit on a couch and feel like I'm chilling, but also still have my monitors cranking music.
Fuck yeah.
So I lately have been listening to like Boards of Canada albums and shit, which is good.
A lot of people make tracks and they don't sit and like think about the idea of their record as a whole all the time. And I definitely do, like, especially when I write music.
When have you ever put out a record though?
I haven't put out like albums or anything like that.
But you only put out singles, right?
No, I do. I've done tons of EPs, long EPs, big EPs. Like I've done like 8-track EPs multiple times over again.
That's basically an album, right?
Yeah, but I mean, if I'm going to make something in an album, it's going to be like not a dubstep. It's going to be like a body of music that I'm like really proud of that is, you know, diverse and is deeper. You know, I'm saving an album for something that
like saving
is more profound. Right. Yeah, building up to that. I'm like, you know, I'm trying to develop my like maturity as a songwriter to make something that I think there's a different like degree of artistry that goes into like an LP than something like an EP. And it's also easier to get across messages in like 4 songs, you know, but you have to elaborate on them with like an LP, you know?
Yeah, so my differentiation, and this is the most basic shit ever, for an LP versus an EP is just if it's longer than 45 minutes, I call it an LP.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what, it should be like 30 minutes, right? 30-minute playtime is like an LP.
So for me, 45 minutes is like over 10 tracks usually, because my tracks are never usually 4.5 minutes long. So it'd have to be like 11 or 12 tracks usually to be 45 minutes. And at that point, for me, that's an album. But it never necessarily means that it has to like tell a cohesive story or anything.
Yeah, but for me, like when I write music, that's what I'm after. But yeah, like the definition of it isn't like the idea you're getting across. You could just put 12 songs that have nothing to do with each other together. And
that's usually what I do.
And it is. But that's not the way I make music. Like when I sit down and I do something like with a vision. And that's why they come out as EPs and not like a bunch of singles. Because if I was doing that, then I would just be uploading music all the time,
right? Like
on SoundCloud or whatever as singles.
Yeah, I did that for a long time when SoundCloud was still cool. Wait, how do you feel about SoundCloud these days?
I think SoundCloud is a victim of a lot of things with social media. I don't know, like it's really weird trying to keep fan bases up on the internet or any platform, you know? And also like when you put like a lot of your eggs in one basket, like you develop a big SoundCloud following, but then people like leave SoundCloud, like you lose your fans.
But do you actually lose your fans, or do you just lose their engagement on that platform?
You lose their engagement, but I mean, also that's like another whole concept, like, I don't know, like the life cycle of like a fan and like an EDM or whatever, like varies too. Like, you know, I mean, I'm sure like every person like me, like your favorite genre of music doesn't stay your favorite genre of music for ever, you know? I mean, maybe for some people, like for me, but I definitely have phases of like things I like the most, whether it's like metal or, you know, dubstep or IDM or, you know, it changes, I think. And I think for most people, like, oh, they're really into like this one artist for like a year or two, and then they like move on to some other thing.
True. Yeah, that's a good point. But I don't know.
And the same thing happens with social media too. I think they're like, oh, I'm really into Instagram today. And then maybe they're like, oh, I gave up on Instagram.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, true. I think some artists are like that, but I think there's other artists who somehow like exceed that or like supersede that, you know, like Tipper, for instance. There's like his fan base, they don't seem to leave. They seem to just like keep accruing and being Tipper fans and traveling across the country.
Well, yeah, I mean, of course, like, I mean, like a lot, like, and I'm not saying that everyone does that. Like, you know, I'm sure like you or like any artist that anyone's ever been a fan of, like people like remain fans for them. And like I have bands that I listened to as like a kid, like really young, that I'm like I still listen to in my car or whatever. But I mean, yeah, there's like a degree of like diehardness, you know, and also like the over like arching scene behind it changes, you know. Yeah, and that's why you see like, you know, dubstep died or whatever, like quote unquote, and then now it's back like super huge, you know. So there's waves, you know, people come in and come out of genres.
So I thought dubstep died in 2007 or some shit when I was in Australia. Like for a while it was kind of getting big there, and there was like it was around that era when Chestplate Records was doing a lot of shit with like Distance and stuff like that. Do you know that guy?
No, I don't know if I do.
Distance is like,
I know Chestplate though.
So Distance, I would say it was like the first kind of dubstep I ever heard that was sort of like that Widler style or like Truth or whatever. It's like that sort of dark wubby shit, which is sick. And then I was like, oh, this is really good. And then 16-bit came out with Chainsaw Calligraphy, and that was sort of like the pinnacle of it. And then it just seemed to die. And like all the warehouse parties that were happening around that genre and stuff just stopped, and like everything just sort of died. And I was like, oh, fuck, I guess dubstep didn't take off then.
I feel like,
and then Skrillex happened, and then
but I feel like there was a long like a build because it from that time, 16-bit kind of like started this like idea of like turning dubstep into something that's more like wubby and deep into something more obnoxious,
right? Yeah.
And that's kind of what happened. And then I think when dubstep really started to blow up was like with Circus Records and a lot of those guys like Flux Pavilion and Dr. P and that was like that era is probably like late 2000s, early 2010. And then that's kind of like when Skrillex came along too. And I think it like peaked in like 2012. And then after 2012 is when you got all like the American kid copycats who like basically are like
trying to
Skrillex step. They're trying to like make that. They're trying to make his music like themselves. And that's when like Europe had like wanted nothing to do with the genre anymore, and like you have a lot of like really big DJs who like even quit making the music because they just like found it to be cringy because it was like bastardized.
Right.
But yeah, I think it started to really emerge in 2007, but after like, and then it continued to grow and develop, and then it kind of died out after Skrillex made it gigantic in America.
Yeah, which I don't know. I think was a good thing.
No, yeah, it's a great thing. Well, because like it took time for it to go from like what he did and then to like kind of shift into what it is now, which is, I think you have people who are like really innovating and making cool stuff that like is sound designy and heavy and like kind of obnoxious, but is more dancey and has more cohesive ideas and is just a little like easier to listen to yet exciting. You know,
Right.
like people like Ominous or like Sudden Death or, you know, Fizo, people like that.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah. Let's talk more about self-management, because I think that's like one thing I like to do with this podcast sometimes is like whatever the other person that I'm talking to is like kind of good at and can impart some knowledge on people who are listening, who are maybe like, you know, just bedroom producers who don't really know what they're doing or are just starting or whatever. It's like always useful to hear from people who have, you know, done crazy amounts of shit. Like for instance, last week I had Matt Davis on the podcast, which is a guy who aligns my studio and the guy who does like Tipper Studio and stuff. And we literally just and I also had this guy on the podcast who designs these fucking crazy speakers. And we basically just talked for like an hour and a half or whatever on like just shit that you can just do in your own room to like align your room yourself, basically. But it was basically like a really quick rundown on acoustics. And I've had managers on this podcast before. Like I had the guy who managed Closey and Beats Antique and stuff on the podcast, and he had a bunch of interesting shit to say. Yeah, so I'd just be interested to talk to you about that a little bit.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm not really by any means like a great manager. If I was, I'd be like probably way more famous, because like that's the whole idea of a manager is to, you know, take anything and sell it to a mass amount of people.
Is it though? Is that like the main goal for a manager, you think?
Yeah, I think manager, I mean, for me, well, I mean, there's many goals of a manager. They do a lot of different things, but I mean, one of them is to make sure that their artist is, you know, able to function as they're meant to, which is to like produce music and on a schedule and like create a product. Like that's the one thing. But then I think the thing that, and I think a lot of people who want to get into management are pretty good at that. But I think the really hard thing that separates like the managers with like gigantic artists like Marshmello is their ability to like sell a product, you know, is like to package it up and make it really accessible to huge audiences. And, you know, that's, I think, the big talent of a good manager. You know, so I think those are like the two things. And there's probably a ton of other tasks in between that, you know, I'm kind of overlooking. But like for me, yeah, I do. But like obviously I keep myself on a schedule. I have a bunch of sticky notes on my computer, and I have like a calendar and stuff that I follow, and like mental lists. But yeah, and then I also have a vision and a big picture for myself, but I don't necessarily think it's like the most mass marketable thing. And I'm not really that connected. Like I'm more connected with artists because luckily I have like, I'm fortunate enough that like I have respect from other artists, people that I respect. So like there's a mutual artistic respect, which is nice. So I can get my music out to other artists, but you know, I'm not really plugged into like the industry aspect of it, which is probably something that like I'm really missing. And, you know, like I'm not saying like I don't need a manager, but you know, for where I'm at right now, like what I'm trying to accomplish, which is just make really good music and like deliver my artistic vision. Like I think I'm doing it pretty well. I've done a pretty good job of finding the visual, like people who can do good visual aspects, like on the internet, and you know, talking to them.
Who are you using at the moment for visual art?
Oh yeah, so I'm sure tons of kids are gonna jump on this, but I have this illustrator, Oscar I found him on Instagram, and he's just an apps. Yeah, he's done art for you. He's done art for like lots of people. I think he's done stuff like EPROM and Black Tiger Sex Machine, and he's just an incredible illustrator. Yeah, he's just fantastic. And I hit him up and I was just like, dude, I really love your art. And like, I don't know if you'd be down to like work with music on me. Cause like on his Instagram, it always says, he's like, yeah, I don't do commission work. And he's like, oh, I actually like your music. And that's like what I'm talking about is like, when you have art, like respect from other artists, like it really helps you, you know, kind of plug into things that you wouldn't otherwise be able to. Yeah. So I'm so fortunate to work with him cause he's so incredibly talented. And yeah, that's something like I like really look after, is like having a relationship with someone who, you know, gets what you're trying to do and can do it. and that's a really hard thing to find. And I put in the work to do that. I didn't like just do what everyone else, because a lot of people, I feel like in dubstep especially, like they catch on to the idea, oh, this one guy did this artist and I liked it, so I'm gonna like do his thing too. And the next thing you know, like the whole genre is completely homogenized by like these one artists. And I think that happened with like robotic imagery, like back with like Excision and Datseek and Djosta and J-Pub. Like everyone had like, and not to like talk down all that, because like I thought it was all really cool too, but like for a long time the dubstep scene was so homogenous with art, and it still is. Like a lot of people use people that they know will do it, and that because they like it. But individuality is super.
Like, it's easy. I can just give this guy $100 and he'll do a piece of art that looks like familiar to everybody else's, and
and then
everyone will accept this as a product because it's like a known formula. That works,
exactly. And I'm not about that. I'm about like having my own image and vision. Like I'm going to say that a ton of times, but like I really know what I want, and I think that's something that is a positive about me, and that a lot of artists may need that in a manager, that they don't know what like their brand or their vision is for like that aspect of it, but they can make good music,
right?
And that's something that's probably missing from a lot of people that I don't need help with.
Yeah, true. Yeah, that's a good point. So what would you suggest then, if there's like an artist who's driving from Peoria, Illinois to Joliet, Illinois, who's still freaking out about the fact that we mentioned him earlier, who's like, oh, I'm totally like making tunes and have a bunch of stuff on SoundCloud, and like, he's got a couple of thousand followers or a couple hundred followers on each network, or, wants to start playing shows, doesn't have a manager or an agent, any of that stuff. Like what would your suggestion be? Like, if you're at that level, like how do you move forward from there?
Okay. Yeah. That's a great question.
And this is all assuming that you are actually writing good music that people.
Yeah, so I was going to get into that too. So like, I think, obviously, I mean, I don't think you need to I don't think you actually need to make good music to have a career in music.
Okay.
Because I see that there's evidence for that, right? But if you're trying to break out on your own, like you live in Illinois or something like that, like you're not connected, the first step is to make really good music, right? And if you have really good music, other artists and other people they'll notice, right? And they'll appreciate that. And that's how you start to get that artistic respect. And by having that, you can develop your network really easily,
right,
with other artists. And then other artists may have people that are plugged into like the actual industry thing. So, I mean, kind of like, I think a big reason why dubstep is really popular right now is because I was lucky to kind of develop like my own little network of friends on Facebook. And people are always like, oh, no one in my town makes the same music as I do or even likes it. And I'm like, yeah, neither did I, but I made friends in France. I made friends in England. I made friends in Australia, and we became friends on the internet. We shared our music and we reposted our music. And that's and that's how you grow. Like one fan becomes someone else's fan, and then you grow a community that way. And that's why I think a big reason dubstep's so popular right now in America, and like drum and bass, for example, is because drum and bass is so weird and like, closed off about their culture.
Dude, okay, yes, it is weird that drum and bass artists are like, oh no, I have to like protect all my sequence and stuff, and dubstep people generally are like more community based people. However, having said that, you were like closed off to sharing the Traveler project file.
Oh yeah, I'm way more closed off about my music and stuff, but at the same time, I'm probably one of the most. So yeah, about sharing my like vision and like in my art, I'm really weird and protective about that stuff. But as far as growing, like showing other artists and supporting like up and comers, I'm probably like, I would consider myself like I do a lot in that regard for like helping kids, like, or like new people.
Can we talk about that for a sec?
Yeah.
I'm just curious, like why, like for instance, I've always been like crazy about sharing knowledge and sharing project files and just like essentially open sourcing what I do.
Yeah.
Because I don't think my tricks make me what I am as an artist. I don't think anyone would make my music even if they knew every trick I know.
Yeah.
And secondly, I think the more better producers there are out there, it forces me to get better as a producer. I can't stagnate because there's other people who know exactly how I do my shit. So it's like, well, fuck, I have to be better than them now. And then secondly, as the entire industry as a whole gets better, then electronic music as a whole grows, and people who maybe would never have gotten into it otherwise, who are maybe just into rock and they're like, fuck electronic music, it doesn't have guitars in it or whatever, then see it as this really well-produced thing because like everyone's great at it now, and then the whole thing just grows.
Well, I mean, like, okay, well, there's a lot of answers for that. Like, I guess like one thing would be then like everything should be free, right? You shouldn't have to pay.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I mean, but that's like a whole like idealistic concept that like
But
it doesn't actually work in practicality.
But in the field of information with the internet, it's not idealistic. It can exist.
Okay, then college should be free, right? I mean,
Well,
and I think it
college-
probably should be, or at least it should be paid for. But people
It
who are
also
giving
technically
you,
is on the internet if you just have the discipline to go and do it.
I'm not okay. First of all, I'm not even trying to say that I'm trying to sell my information or my knowledge. I'm not trying to say it, but I am also trying to say that there's a value to information and knowledge, right? And accumulating
there
that.
is,
That's
yeah.
what I'm trying to say. And I'm not trying to like necessarily sell my information, but yeah, there's a value to it. And I think myself's valuable. And I think professors, like if you're paying money to go to like Berkeley or something to learn music, I think what they're telling you, they deserve money for it because they have a mind,
Yeah,
that
of
you're
course.
trying to get information from. A lot of people download a project file, like what you're trying to say. You're trying to say that you wanted to share our
Well,
collab on the
would-
internet, right?
They would have purchased it and I would have split that money with you though. So.
Well, I don't even care about the
So
money.
first
I don't even
point
care.
is
Yeah. So,
moot.
well, I didn't even know about the money aspect when you even asked me. That wasn't even like a thing on my mind. I'm just trying to say there's
Right.
value to it, right? That's what I'm trying to say.
No, of course. Yeah.
But yeah, I think something that you said you don't think your tricks make you. Well, I mean, I definitely think there's a degree of that too for me because I started out. I mean, a lot of people have too. Probably listen to this and I got into producing electronic music. Like not as long ago as you did. But like, yeah, there wasn't like YouTube tutorials or anything back in the day. Like there wasn't like education for that. I literally had to like figure it all out on my own, like by like reading manuals and just turning knobs and making the connections in my brain, like what does what. And nowadays, like anyone can just go on the internet and like go to Splice or Cymatics and just download a bunch of amazing sounds, like really good, and then watch a YouTube tutorial on how to sound like this guy and do that. And like in a week, they're like making songs that sound like something, right? It sounds good and acceptable. But like, there's no like, in my opinion, it's not like you can have like, wow, it sounds good. It sounds good. But like, what have you actually done? Like, have you created anything that's actually special and of value? Like, and to the public, they don't really know or care or mind as long as it sounds good, right? But I think there's a degree of like artistry that you get from other people, maybe like and like you can kind of tell like that separates some of these like actual, I don't know, like people that have more of a vision with their art and they've put in the time to develop something themselves that is just better and like to put it like bluntly. I mean, it doesn't also really matter at the end of the day as long as you're comfortable and stuff. Like, I mean, none of this actually really matters as long as like you're like the fact that anyone's able to like make music or like do art and and have a career off of it is pretty amazing.
So when I started electronic music, it's the same thing. There was nothing to learn from,
Yeah,
and
of
I had to
course.
figure it all out. But on top of that, electronic music was just seen as this dumb toy music. Like it wasn't seen as real shit that you would like go and see at a show, or like it wasn't seen. There was no industry around it. Like it was not seen as a thing that you would buy. Like you wouldn't you wouldn't like follow an artist and like buy their record and go to their show and like buy their t-shirt or whatever. It was seen as this like just ridiculous thing, and that was just dumb. And like so the only reason it existed is because drugs exist. And the only people who listen to it are like weird people who shave the side of their head and have nose rings and shit. And like it was literally just seen as that like very left field shit. And now it's not that, right? Like now it is this kind of mainstream thing that you go to a show and like this whole industry surrounded around it, so much so that there's like giant multi-million-dollar companies that surround this industry, like Insomniac and stuff like that.
Yeah, so I think what you're bringing up right now,
and all of that exists because of people sharing information and networking and like creating. It all starts from the music, right?
yeah, okay. So, but also with that, with the mainstream, like it becoming more popular and more accessible, it also brings in tons of new people to like make more music and want to get involved in it and participate in it. And they may take shortcuts and expect to be at someone's level who's done more work, right? And then they'll take shortcuts to do that just because they want to be a part of it. And one of those things is like necessarily downloading a project file and just rearranging a few things. Like, and it's been such a problem with me, like, and tons of people probably deal with this, but like people will literally just like rip your song, like a clip or a preview out of it, and then rearrange a few things and then re-upload it to their SoundCloud and name it like a remix or whatever, and then get like, and people may not even know the original song. And this happens a lot. I mean, and a lot of this just kind of comes down like to like just like protecting your intellectual property is really all it really is. And it just depends on how highly you value it. I mean, I know you probably value your stuff too, but maybe you don't value it in that degree. And you're also like, okay, my next thing's gonna be better, so I don't really care.
That's kind of how I feel about it.
Yeah.
It's like they're always going to be one step behind because
Of course.
they're not doing what I'm doing right now.
Yeah, and I'm not really worried about that too either. But I do just kind of want to like, for myself, I would like to things that I've figured out on my own. I kind of just want to keep that to myself. There's my music is personal to me. It's really what it comes down to, right? And I do share information like a lot. And I have a Discord server where people ask questions and I type in there. I tell people how I mix my music down, and that's another thing. I'm like so open, like to give information away like for free, like when it's in regard to technical things like that, like mixing and mastering, how to get your shit super loud, like how to make a snare drum. Like I share that information all the time. But when it comes down to like more things like what do I do with that information? How do I make my own art? Like I don't really like to go in too deep into that because, you know, that's my thing.
You started by saying the reason drum and bass didn't get big in America is because of the way that they are. And what I'm saying is like the way that they are is the way that you're being about sharing this project.
Not even close.
Okay, so what is the difference then? What is
no?
the
Because
difference?
drum and bass is like they gatekeep their own genre like crazy. Like they don't support other artists doing their thing until they've proven themselves to be like one of them, you know. And that's not what you're talking. Like we're talking about maybe two different things in regards to drum and bass. You're talking more about the production aspect of things, right?
Okay, that's what
and
I
I'm
was
talking more about like the community aspect of it when I brought up D&B, because D&B has a really super tight community. And yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like I went back to earlier, like if someone links something on my Discord server, because I listen to most of the stuff, and if I like it, like I'll post about it on Twitter, I'll post about it on my server. I even have a thing on my server where I just share people's music and I at everyone. I'm like, listen to this song, it's sick. I don't know many drum and bass people who do something like that. That is a very bizarre thing.
What is the name of your Discord server?
The Dongle Den. Yeah, I don't take the name very seriously. I mean, I started it to just play video games with my buddies, and then like the link got on Twitter a couple times, and then it's just become like a music server. But
Do you know how many members are in there?
I don't know. I don't promote it. There's probably like a couple hundred people in there, but yeah, it's a good community. But yeah, anyways, I'm not even trying to plug the server. I'm just trying to talk about like a little community that I have going and other people have going.
Shitloads of people who listen to this podcast are on Discord though. So like, should they go to your Discord?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to get involved in like a dubstep community, there's like, yeah, we play video games. We talk about music production. There's a promotion channel. You can share arts. You can get feedback on things. There's just general discussion. It's really, I mean, I really like it, but it's also my thing too. So
right. Okay. So how do you feel about like AI in music then? Like I believe sometime in not the too far away future, there's going to be like a tool that you can install on your computer, and it will just like track all of your key logs and track all of your mouse actions and create heat maps and shit inside Ableton. And it can also just look at the spectral information, look at the timing information, so on and so forth. And it could just be like, all right, we know that you like certain sounding kick drums all the time. We know that you preference these certain types of like melodic sensibilities and so on and so forth. And eventually over like maybe a year or 6 months or 2 years or however long it takes, it can just build up a profile of the shit that you like spectrally and like based on your key mapping, your key logs and all that shit. And eventually it'll just be like, all right, cool. I can just like pump out Oolacile tracks. And let's say hypothetically that could exist and it could pump out Oolacile tracks that were non-recognizably different from ones that you spend weeks producing. Like, how would you feel about something like that?
Oh, I mean, I think, yeah. So that's not even like a music question. That's like a reality and life question is the way I see it.
Totally. It's totally a philosophical.
Yeah. Yeah. So like, I don't know. I honestly, I have like, I mean, I have a ton of crazy theories about life and stuff, but yeah, I think one theory is that like reality takes place in like some crazy future, like a different world that we exist in. And everything has become so automated and so easy and so streamlined and so perfect that like humanity and like life as you know it just is not even, it's not enjoyable or disjoyable because everything's so automated. Like an AI can just feed you, you know, make your music for you, everything. You don't need to do anything at all. Like you don't need to live. So like, I don't know, maybe we're like playing a game where there is some spice in life. You know, things aren't perfect. You have to actually put an effort to things. And I don't know, I think that's kind of what makes the human experience human, is like the difficulty of things and having to overcome them. Like an AI could do anything for you. It doesn't just need to be music. Like an AI could know when you're going to be hungry and feed you. You don't even have to get up. An AI could grow your crops. You don't, like.
I think already happens. But like,
Yeah.
I don't think there's like, well, it's probably humans growing crops, but I'm curious though, like, let's say put the shoe on the other foot. Your favorite artist, for instance, let's say they had this thing on their computer and had logged like years of their behavior and could spit out just music on command of their tracks. Would you be like happy about that? Would you be happy about the fact that you could generate like 1,000 new sudden death tracks right now if you felt like it?
I mean, I don't know. Like, it'd be nice for your enjoyment, but I think a lot of the novelty of music would probably eventually disappear.
Like
to the public. Also,
rarity.
there's an abundance of it too,
Right.
and like people like diamonds or whatever because there's like a rarity to it, like a manufactured one. But there's a rarity, and there's a novelty to things that like are hard to do or difficult, like athletes or sports. Like,
So what you're saying?
no one
is
would watch sports if everyone was that strong. No one would care. It actually goes perfectly into your last question about why do I protect my art, or like why do I not want to share things. It's like, okay, so if I'm sharing everything I'm doing, then everyone can do it and it loses its
Right.
novelty.
Right. Yeah. Okay. But I don't agree that everyone can do it. But yeah, I get what you're saying. We need to like put a Chinese like one child policy on artists, just like a one track policy. If you're an artist, you can't make more than one track.
I mean, yeah,
in your
that'd be
entire
like,
career.
and I think artists do that. Like, there are a lot of people like that take long hiatuses and then they come back and they drop a record and everyone's like, oh my God, like Daft Punk, like whatever, right? Like, and you're just developing the hype, like Half-Life or whatever, a video game. It's like people like anticipate like, oh my God, when's the next Half-Life coming out?
Yeah, that's like some maturity artist shit that I'm just like not on that. I'm not on that level at all. I'm so like far from that. I have to be making shit all the time. And I have to be showing it to people all the time.
Well, yeah, I mean, and that's a normal thing. That's a human thing. Like, because you also need validation with what you're doing, because you don't know. You're judging yourself, and like you don't know if it's actually good. So you need someone else to tell you.
Right.
I mean, it's good if it's good to you. Then that's all that really matters at the end of the day.
Well, I mean, making music is inherently fun to me. So like,
yeah, exactly. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it depends on if you're trying to make a career out of it or you're trying to show it to a large audience. Then you need other ears on it,
right?
So that you can decide if it's going to be something that we can all agree on, you as an artist and the public. And that's another thing I think that like it's also a weird thing. Like, I've been asked the question before, like, oh, would you sell out and like make music you don't like? And well, first of all, I like a lot of music, but like, like I could work any other job at that point. If it's like not fun for me, do a desk job. You have to do something that you like. And then if you want to make a career out of it, it has to be something that you and the public agree on.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of went off on a little tangent there. What were you asking me?
We're talking about AI in music, but no, it's fine. We can go on tangents.
I just forgot the original question though.
The original question was like, how do you feel about Frequent's tweet about chopping rhythm tracks together? And we went way.
No. Yeah. But no. Making music as a professional basically just has to be an agreement of you, the creator of it, and the people who consume it. And that's basically what it comes down to.
Right. Have you messed around with writing pop music at all?
Yeah, I mean, it's something I like to do, but there definitely isn't like I don't have like a demo for it, I think. Mm-hmm. I mean, if someone had an offer for me and they're like, yo, there's a singer and like, we want you to write a bunch of tracks for them, I would be stoked to do that. And like, I don't know, just like making music and sounds is fun for me in any facet. Like, I listen to a lot of music too. So like, if someone was like, quit DJing, like just help me like make sound effects for video games or movies or whatever, like I would totally do that. As long as I'm, just being creative in that regard with audio. It's all it really comes down to me,
mm-hmm.
for me as an individual.
Right. So like DJs fly a lot, right?
Uh-huh.
How many flights do you reckon you've taken like over the last few years just DJing?
I don't know. 2019 was like a really chill year for me. I kind of like did more specific shows, but the year before I did so much stuff I don't even know. It's like almost traumatic. Like, there's a lot of like rough experiences of just like not sleeping and like missing flights and going long distances. And I already have like weird health issues and stuff. And like flying is hard, like, 'cause my sinuses get all messed up and then my ears like are all fucked up, and then I have to play shows with really loud music and like blast my eardrums, and then like they're all clogged up, and then I have to get on another flight and do that again, and then like I get really sick. And I did like a world tour last year, and I ended up like when I landed from my leg, like I went to the doctor because I was like so sick, and they're like, yeah, you definitely cannot fly. And then my agent's like, you got like 4 more offers in Europe, you have to go back. And I was like, dude, I'm so sick. And he's like, yeah, I get it. Like, but like, you should do it if you can. And I just talked to I went back. I was like, yo, give me all the medicine you have so I can do it. And then I went back and did it again. And then like ended up getting stranded in Germany and had to take like a train to France. And then I got lost in France and then barely missed my show in like south of France. And then, traveling can be super rough. I mean, and that's why like, I don't know, bus tours would be nice, right?
Bus tours are sick, but they're way more expensive.
They are.
But,
they're not as economical.
So
but.
there's been a few comments on this podcast when I've talked to other people, and literally every artist I talk to complains about touring because it's fucking hard. But there's been a few comments on like a few of these episodes where people are like, oh, you fucking entitled pieces of shit. I work at a factory and you get to just like sit on a plane and fly around. It's like,
I mean, like if anyone has done what I said, where they literally like are getting told by a doctor that they cannot do it. And then,
well, that's different.
Yeah. And then you go around and say, fuck you, doctor. I have to do it. Cause it's my, like, I can't let the fans down. You know, I need to do it. That's like a factory worker. Like, yeah. Like if you hate your factory job, that sucks. I'm sorry. I recommend that you try other things if you can. But like, like there are people, in situations that like are in rough situations as well, doing music, but that's what you do for the love of music, right? You make those sacrifices, whether it's something like risking ever hearing again.
For the love of music plus slight financial gain.
I mean, no, like this stuff like wasn't even like good financial gain. Like I didn't care about the money. Like I was enticed to do it because he's like, yo, you will have played every place in Europe this year. None of my other artists have done that. Like, you should do it. It looks sick. And I was like, fuck, you're right. Let's do it.
True.
I mean, that's another thing too. Like a management thing going back to it. It's like, it's not all about money. In fact, it's very rarely about money.
It's all about like good looks.
It's about, it's about things that like look good and establish you as like someone who is like a good artist.
Yeah. I've played shows for like fuck all money, but like the catch is I get to like, play Red Rocks or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Or like I've done shows for like pretty low offers, but then the catch is my name looks kind of big on an AEG event or something. And then then you have play history with X company in Y state or Y city or whatever. And then your management is, it's this like recurring message that I hear from my management constantly, like, yes, but then when you come back next time, it'll be good. And it's like, dude, we've literally done like 3 shows in this city.
Yeah, that happens to me all the time. Like, oh yeah, you do it this time, but then like it rarely ever actually follows up the way you expect it to. You just keep on doing it. And that's another thing, like you really have, that's another thing a management should do is they should put their foot down on things. It's like, we've done this. Like, stop. Like now we move it to the next level.
For me, it's on another fucking level because I've been doing this shit for like 10 years. So it's like I've played every city a bunch of times.
Yeah, exactly. And there's like clearly like something there that could be, like improved on.
Yeah, 100% agreed. Yeah, so your release, let's talk about that more. What's your favorite remix on the release?
Oh, I mean, I don't really want to like pick a favorite. I think because everyone has their own interpretation of things they did on the package, and everyone did a really good job. Like, I think the production and just, it's really cool. I mean, going back, because we got sidetracked, but the reason I wanted to do a remix package is because I was just really excited to see how like artists that I look up to, like everyone on there, I didn't do anything strategically like for clout or like it's all just people I really like. I listen to their music. Like I'm not doing anyone favors. No one's doing me a favor. It's just genuinely like a respect for the music. So I was just excited to see how people I like music, of course, how they're going to reinterpret what I did, and it was kind of just like something exciting for me to do. And I'm sure a lot of my fans are excited about it too. And I know they are, because I've seen it. That it's exciting when you see like how someone can reinterpret or like reimagine a piece of someone else's art.
So I find,
and that's another thing. Like I approve these people specifically because I like their art. I'm like, yes, you can touch my art. I don't give my stems to people. A lot of people ask me for stems or like sounds or whatever. I don't give that to, as I literally just don't give it to people because like it's, I don't want them doing it, but like, I specifically chose these people because I think that they would do something really cool, and they did.
Well, here's the way I feel about remixes. Like, I get a lot of people remixing my shit all the time just because my shit is so available to get off the internet without my approval.
Well, yeah, you put it all up there.
Yeah, I know, which is fine. Like, there's this guy currently in my Beleaguer immigrants Facebook group called Donovan Patrick, who's remixed like 6 of my tracks in the last month or something.
Shout out Donovan.
Yeah, dude, he's
the
crushing.
guy driving from Wichita to
Yeah, actually,
Minneapolis?
maybe.
I don't know.
But anyway, I find there's 2 kinds of remixes that I get. One is like the original musical idea was just not there, and they've just sort of like stripped everything back and just used like a couple of sound design things from the tune or something. And I'm like, yeah, I hear like a few of the sounds from the original, but like the whole musical idea that originally existed is just gone. So it's not.
That's like a collab at that point.
Sort of. Yeah.
That you like didn't agree on anything.
Right.
But yeah,
exactly.
they're just using your assets for their own music.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't count that as a remix usually. And then the other kind of remix that I get is more like what I would consider a re-edit, where it's sort of like the original song, but just with like some kick drums moved around or something like that. Or like, some sections moved around.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
I hate that stuff more than the latter, because that's something that's happened to me a lot. Like
more than the former, you mean?
Yeah, the former. Excuse me. Yeah. That's happened to me so much. Like kids, yeah, as I said, will literally just rip things off the internet and then like layer their own drums over it and then re-upload it as like a remix or whatever. And that is so frustrating for me.
Yeah, I agree.
And not okay. Like I don't think that's okay at all.
Right. Because then it kind of looks bad on you as a thing that you approved maybe or something. Or
just the fact that like, I don't know. It's just, I would never think about doing something like that. Like I wouldn't download like Scary Monsters and Nice Sprites and like change it slightly and then upload it as like my song. I think that's just kind of messed up.
Like not as an Oolacile remix, but just as like a fresh tune.
Or no, just like as an Oolacile remix or like, yeah, like I just think that's weird. A weird thing to do. As I said, like music is art and I don't think that's very artistic. I mean, but maybe it is. And maybe to that person, and like, who am I to judge? But
yeah, well, that's the thing, right? It's like maybe they've just picked up Ableton like a week ago and they're like proud of this thing that they did.
Yeah, and then they're allowed to.
And you're like, all right, we'll put it on the fridge for a minute.
Yeah. But yeah, there are definitely, we'll put it on the fridge. Participation award. No, but I mean, there's definitely instances where there are people who like just do that time and time after again. I don't know. It gets kind of begins to get weird or whatever.
Yeah. Okay.
But anyways, going back to the remix EP. Yeah, I'm really excited. Like I tried to get like a diverse selection. I'm really happy that you did something like more chill because I wanted like that aspect on there too.
So here's how I feel about that. Originally, when you gave me stems, I was like, I know everyone's just going to make bangers, so I'm going to make not a banger.
Perfect.
And then after I did that, I was like, I should have made a banger.
Well, I'm glad you didn't because I really like what you did. It gives me like definitely like Aphex Twin sort of vibes. Because it's got like all the crazy percussion. I don't know. It really evolves really nice. I don't know. I really like it. I don't know. I'm happy you did that. And then I have Ominous who did a house remix, which is really good.
Yeah, he's not like a house artist, right?
Well, he's like most people know him for dubstep, but he's like does Tele Jump Up and he does house and he's got like he does mixes on SoundCloud too, and he does house sections a lot of the time. And yeah, he's a diverse artist, so that's good that he did that. He just he's not doesn't pigeonhole himself in what he's doing. And then Clockvice and Vorso have like they made like a dubstep tune. I was thinking they would maybe make more of like a halftime sort of thing because that they're like more neuro-y sort of guys. But even their remix like has a ton of neuro sound design. It has like a 4-on-the-4 section, which is like really hype and insane. And then like I got like more rhythmy dudes like Akios and Jub who made it more rhythm. And then I have Digitist and Neonix who made like a little more sound designy experimental dubstep tune, and then mine's just a VIP, which the original tune's like more melodic, and then I made it heavier.
You have a tune on the remix?
Yeah,
too?
Oh, yeah, cool. I remixed it. My song too. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, you should listen to the package. Yeah,
I've clicked through it.
You clicked through it? Okay.
I clicked through it and was like, oh, everything's a banger except my tune.
No, yours is a banger in its own right.
I literally like clicked through it all. I was like, fuck. And then just like walked away from my computer.
Yeah, because everyone did so good. That's a good thing. Yeah, you're intimidated by the remixes, but you shouldn't be because, everything stands on its own in its own way.
Yeah. I kind of felt similarly about the Deadmau5 package that I just did too, because it was like a Peekaboo remix and like a bunch of other remixes. And my one is again just like a glitchy, like I feel like the way I've been working lately is like I've been doing EPs and singles and shit that are just like, and collabs basically that are just all bangers. And then every time I do a remix for someone, it's always like an IDM tune. And I don't know, I find it really easy to write down-tempo IDM-y stuff. And I think that's why I do that, because somebody gives me a remix, there's usually a time limit on it.
Mhm.
And I'm like, oh shit, I gotta get something done. So then I'm like, oh, just path of least resistance. And then
But it's also kind of cool thing too, because if you're probably like remixing like more banger tunes, you're like, okay, I'm not gonna go in that direction. Like I'm gonna try to keep.
well, the Dead Mouse one was from the symphony thing he did, so it was definitely not a banger. It
Okay.
was like a string piece,
Yeah.
which kind of made sense.
Based off of a banger.
Was it?
I don't know what you remixed though.
I can't even remember the name of the tune. It's like H3RO.
Oh, a classic Dead Mouse. It's like some string of numbers and letters.
Yeah, pretty much like
Amazing.
some Aphex Twin naming
Yeah.
system or something. Dude, Aphex's naming system's fucked. I don't get it. He's got like the same, like on that Zero album or whatever, he's got like 3 tracks or 2 tracks that are named like the same thing with just a different string of numbers at the end. Like one's called Zero something. Oh, I can't remember the name. Yeah, I don't know. So it's basically just numbers, but with the same thing at the start. So like you could, if you're DJing like on a CDJ,
You wouldn't even know which one's
yeah,
which.
if you had both, you wouldn't know for sure.
So yeah, I was talking about developing the network of fans because then we got distracted on you like, oh, you're not sharing ideas and stuff, which is true.
That's a good point.
Yeah, but yeah, I want to go back into because sharing the community is a big thing for me, and developing the community. I think, yeah. So basically, what it comes down to: find your own artistic identity, make really good music that sounds like you and not like someone you like. You obviously pull inspiration from people you like and stuff, but do it in something that's unique and original to you. And that's how you develop like your own sound as an artist. You do that and then make really good music and then find other people who are doing the same thing, link up with them, start your own little network of people. Then you kind of have your own little clique going and people can notice that. You grow your fan base pretty naturally that way. Then after you have your own sound, then you can develop a visual brand for yourself. And that's when I recommend doing things like self-releasing music, or another good way to grow your network is to like work with labels. So if you're making good music, getting label releases should be really easy.
So here's a big issue that I had back in the day was because the sound I initially developed for myself was so fucked. It was basically all glitch and breakcore and IDM and stuff. It was impossible to find labels. For about the first 7 years of my career, I couldn't get a release on any label.
Yeah, so that's actually another really good point. So yeah, it kind of negates everything I said, but it's actually a total fact. So yeah, making actually good music doesn't necessarily mean that people will like it because it may not fit into the mold of what people are trying to do or like at that given moment of time. Sometimes it takes when you're making stuff like that, like you're definitely way ahead of everything all the time. You've done things, especially in the past, and it takes a long time for people to catch up to that stuff. And I've kind of been the same way too, like making music that like not really many people get at the time, but then becomes popular years down the road.
Right. I mean, yeah, like neuro shit was like not a huge thing maybe 5 years ago or something like that.
Yeah. Neuro's also really interesting. I don't know if neuro even is popular right now.
Nolan had a good point on the podcast a few weeks ago. He was like, halftime just needs a Skrillex.
Yeah.
Which I feel like is a fact.
But every genre of music needs kind of that person. And dubstep has like, I feel like Excision or whatever, that really helped bring this new wave back because he just invested so much into production and he's like porting and bringing on like a lot of these people who are smaller but really talented on his tours and playing their music. And that's helped a lot with the resurgence of the genre and making it more popular. So yeah, that's a really good point. If you had someone like that investing tons of money on production and advertising for that genre of music, because it's a good genre of music. I really like it. And that's really, honestly, a lot of stuff that got me into producing was like Cohen Sound and like Technian was like really popular at the time, and like Disprove, Emperor, that sort of stuff.
Mako.
Yeah, Mako is awesome. Yeah, all that stuff was like stuff I was really into when I first started producing. So yeah, that's definitely a good point.
Like Cursor, obviously.
Yeah, Cursor, of course. So good. And then there's Dusky, who's now Seppa, right? And they had a group.
Seppa is so good.
They have a new group now, Slugwife.
Well, Slugwife is the label.
Yeah,
so
okay, true.
Slugwife is kind of like a label that has, I believe, Cursor, Seppa, Rezo.
Rezo's on it,
like
yeah.
A few other people.
Yeah, Rezo's making like more dubstep stuff now too, even.
Yep.
Yeah. Because, yeah, he used to make tons of crazy breaks. He still does, obviously. Yeah, Rezo's amazing. Yeah, man, all this music. I love this music so much. I wish it was more popular in America.
I agree.
And that was another thing. Like, I used to make that music mostly before dubstep. My mixing was terrible, but like, the sound design was pretty cool. I think that really helped me. Like, when I was like dubstep, I was like, oh, I can make these sounds really easily. Like, massive patches are so much easier than like resampling Reese basses 1,000 times over. And I can like learn how to actually mix down a tune. And I like the music too. So I diverted into that, and then luckily, like that, this genre grew with my music as well.
Right. Yeah,
And I don't think neuro, and also that's another issue. Like neuro isn't as opening of a community, at least maybe at the time.
Well, that's because all neuro people are actually just all drum and bass people in disguise.
Yeah.
They're actually like all drum and bass people who just like put the ×2 button on their snare channels.
Yeah.
On their snare.
Or the divide two.
Divide by 2, yeah. They just like went to all their snare channels and divided by 2, and they're like, done.
Yeah, this is amazing.
Yeah, like Scope, man, he's fucking so good.
Scope's amazing. Yeah, Joe Ford.
Right, yeah. So I would
He
call
makes DMB again now, though.
Yeah, exactly. Like I would call Scope a drum and bass producer mostly, but his halftime shit is great.
Yeah.
Cool. So like you find your friends and shit, you create a little community on the internet or locally or whatever.
Yeah.
But then let's say you're at that level, then what's the next thing you think?
Well, yeah, I think something that helps is to, go try to get label stuff. But yeah, you did make a really good point. Like you could be making really good music, but if it doesn't fit into whatever is popular or whatever the people want, they may not sign you.
So the way I got around that was I just self-released, but I did it in like a pretty clever way where I teamed with Funny, made this little character, did a bunch of collabs.
Yeah, it's going back to
created a series of releases that were like clearly of the same package and like all had the exact same like, branding and shit like that. And I just kind of like made my own thing that I couldn't somehow get a label to pick up. But
yes.
Yeah.
And that was, that's my other point is like you have to develop like a visual brand on top of your music. But yeah, there's kind of like both things need to happen. It's like kind of almost like a chicken and the egg thing. It's like maybe you should definitely develop a brand first that people resonate with and they like. But yeah, labels help. So yeah, so labels are interesting because I think a lot of labels try to force their brand on your music sometimes, which is why I don't recommend them all the time. But labels are really good exposing your music to their audience, and it's okay to kind of sacrifice some of your brand to get that wider reach of your music. And that's why I recommend using them. But yeah, you also need to have what you said, like your own visual brand and stuff. But if you could even have a really good visual brand and really good music, but if no one is hearing it, like, what are you going to do? So you have to get it in the right hands of the people. And labels are a good way to do that, right? They expose it to an audience.
What do you think of repost chains on SoundCloud?
Well, I mean, they kind of like screwed up SoundCloud a lot, and I think a lot of people stopped using it because like so much trash got on their way. But I think
here's what I think. I think the SoundCloud feed was initially a good feed. That was a good way to find music and keep up to date with people who are uploading music that you gave a shit about.
Mm-hmm.
And then
you followed what you liked.
Right. And then with the repost chain and with the repost button and repost chains, the feed became pretty unusable. And then SoundCloud in general became pretty unusable.
I mean, but in reality, just kind of people took advantage of it because reposting should be a good feature because like that's a good way to, expose people to things, right? And if you're following an artist that you like and they're reposting music that they like, there's a high chance that you'll like that too.
But that all hinges on the fact that people aren't greedy and will use it in this very
and exploit it.
way.
Yeah, exactly. And they are, and that's why it's like failing. And yeah, people will like pay, like a lot of artists will like take money from smaller producers who like aren't good at making music yet so that they can repost their song or whatever, right?
Wait, is that true?
Yeah, absolutely. People will pay for reposts. This is an actual thing. And this is a big part of the reason why your SoundCloud feed sucks is because there are artists who are doing this.
So like, I mean, I've a fair few followers on SoundCloud. I would say like 70,000. Nobody's ever come to me and been like, hey, can I give you money to repost my thing?
Yeah, people have actually asked me that, and I've.
What was the amount of money that they?
I don't know. They just ask if I can buy reposts, and I just ignore them.
Oh man, you should.
Yeah, and I know artists who like promote this stuff too.
Like how much?
There are curious. I don't care.
I'm just curious to know like what they're offering.
Well, I wouldn't. I don't feed into this stuff. I mean, like I don't know. I don't know if it's a dick thing on me, but I don't give the time of day to things that I don't agree with or believe in.
I wouldn't give the time of day to it in terms of like doing it or entertaining it, but I would give the time of day to it to learn more about it. By being like, well, how much do you...
Yeah, just curious. Yeah, so you have the information for educational purposes?
Just conversation. Well, yeah, just to, make other people aware that this is the amount of money you could make doing this, I suppose.
Yeah.
But you shouldn't. Or if someone was like, oh, I got offered blah 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 to do a repost, be like, oh man, I got offered like this much. That's the going
And then
rate.
you clout flex your repost value.
No, you just be like, that's the going rate. You're getting ripped off.
Oh, okay.
But obviously, I wouldn't agree with. No, I think like reposting for any reason like that is fucked.
Yeah. I mean, and then also that goes into, so beyond just monetary incentive, which has happened, and does probably still happen, there is like management and stuff too, who like for whatever reason, like they'll have like an established artist or whatever, and they'll pick up a new person who may not be good. Going back to my theory, you don't need to be good at making music to have a career in music. They'll throw them on their thing, and then all of a sudden this big artist who you do like is reposting all this music from this person you don't like because it's their team doing it, right? It's their team putting it out there. I had a repost chain, but it's all people that I really look up to, and like it's just the same. It's our community, it's our mutual thing, and it's not like an excessive like thing that you can get into, and no one probably even knows that it exists until right now. And it still kind of exists. We have a Facebook chat where we share our music, but it's not like a mandatory thing anymore.
Also, I think though, if that like kind of thing existed and somebody asked me to come into a thing like that, I would only want to do it on the basis that I can choose to not repost shit if I don't think it's cool.
Yeah, that's what it is now.
Because it's like even my favorite artists sometimes make a tune that
you don't
that
agree
I'm not,
with.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, and that's fine. And that's where we're at right now. But yeah, I think it is a strong thing. Going back to what I said before about having friends and artists that you look up to, or like have a mutual taste for each other. Finding a group like that and then being able to support each other is a really powerful thing, and that's a good thing. And that's what repost groups and chains should be, and not exploited for like management or monetary value, like they happen, which was like led to like the downfall of SoundCloud feed.
Yeah, I would agree with that. So you think like, well, I guess this is not even really management. Like artists should just do this in general, even if they do have a manager. I feel like is like build a community with other artists and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I think that's important, even if you do have a manager.
But yeah, I mean, maybe you're the type of person who isn't very social and isn't good at that. So like a manager, that's like a manager should be supplementing things that you are not strong at. Like that's kind of what their job is, right?
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
So yeah, maybe you're not a social person, and you could love tons of artists, but you're like too afraid to talk to them, or even if they hit you up, like you're too afraid to reply to them, or
right.
or you're distracted by other things. A manager can step in and be like, hey, like check out like this guy's music. They're a fan of you. Maybe you're a fan of them too, or whatever. And if they want to repost it, then they can. And that's what I use my Discord for too. Like anyone can post their music on there, and I'll listen to it. And if I like it, I will share it.
Right.
But I don't like when people specifically ask me to do something.
Like,
I'm not obligated to do anything for anyone. I want to share stuff that I believe in, that I think is for the betterment of the genre in my eyes. Because the public may not agree with what I like, but. I know what I like.
What if your landlord was like, repost my track and you don't have to pay rent this month?
Oh, dang. Probably wouldn't do it. Dude, like, that's another thing. It's like, I don't know. That's the in me, right? It's a moral.
I knew we couldn't do this podcast without saying you were a
Oh, no. We can delete that part of it. You can just bleep it out, actually, even. Just put a sine wave over it. Just people like, what did he say? What is in him? You should definitely do it now.
All right, we can have my podcast editor bleep these out.
Engineer. We should have him bleep out a bunch of stuff. Keep it mysterious. And then like in a year, we'll re-release the podcast unbleeped. And then we'll call it unedited, uncensored, raw.
Nice. Yeah, do you want to chat about any other stuff? I feel like we covered so much.
We covered a lot of stuff. But yeah, just to brush up back on that topic with artists, make good music.
Yeah.
Find other people that like what you do and you like what they do. Share your music with them. Develop a brand, a visual identity. Then, if it's possible, if labels will work with you, try to get them to do some of your stuff for a small period of time so you can get more exposure. Then go back, develop your brand more. And at that point, you should have a fan base. And if you have a fan base, promoters will want to book you.
Or at least an agent will be interested.
Or an agent. Some people will notice at a point. Like there becomes a point when people notice and they care, and there's money to be made off of you, right? And that people would be stupid to not be doing it because there's obviously a demand. Right. And when that happens, it happens. And then you're in the game and you're in the industry and you can continue on there. And then maybe get a manager who can take you further and, manage your day-to-day life. And that's kind of how it happens. And that's the way to do it. And you know, you just make sure all those boxes are checked, that you have people who care about you and you care about other people and you're making good art, and you should be good to go, to be honest.
Cool, man. Well, thanks for coming on my podcast.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
You kind of came on my... That sounded really bad. We should bleep that
Dude,
one for sure.
I always come on people's...
Yeah, we're in my studio right now recording this podcast. Can we divulge this information?
Yeah, of course. This has happened a few times where I'm like, yeah, welcome to my podcast, but it feels weird because I'm like in someone else's studio, because generally I don't do a lot of these at my own house. I mostly do them when I'm traveling.
Yeah.
So it's either in a hotel room or in someone else's studio.
Rebrand the podcast to Bill's Traveling Podcast, and then it should be like your little funny guy with a briefcase.
I should call
and like
it
a microphone in the other hand.
Bill's Travel Show or something. Like
yeah.
Get picked up by like some weird channel on HBO or something.
Yeah.
Wait, HBO would not do a travel show.
You should do it on like YouTube Red eventually. You know, like aim for the stars. You know what I'm saying? YouTube Red, here we come, baby.
No, I should do it on Pornhub Gold.
Yeah.
Is that even a thing?
I don't know. It should be.
Have you seen, you know how at the start of all Pornhub videos, there's that little
drum loop? Yeah, of course.
Should sample that.
Yeah, and that's our next collab right there.
And like, you know, there's the Armin break, the thing break. There's also
now it's the Pornhub break. That's the next in the D&B line.
Yeah.
There you go. All future D&B bangers will be made with the Pornhub break.
This is what the halftime Skrillex will do.
Oh, he'll
take that break and popularize
the pioneering of the new genre. Yeah. Wow, we're actual geniuses.
Cool. All right. Well, thanks, man.
Feel free, if you're the next Neuro Skrillex, to use that idea.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, people should check out your release.
Yeah.
And go like you on social media.
Yeah, if you like it. What's it called? Yeah. So the remix thing is happening now, but then I have a lot of stuff planned, original stuff, not remixes, for the rest of this year. We could have totally talked about that stuff, but
we'll talk about it.
It's fine.
We'll talk about it next time after it's come out.
Yeah, definitely. And we'll do a round 2, but I'll be at your house next time.
Okay, cool.
Wherever that may be.
Currently San Fran, but maybe not there.
Yeah, exactly. The traveling Mr. Bill, you know what I'm saying? You never know.
It's the Mr. Bill travel show.
There you go.
Cool. All right. Thanks, dude.
All right. Cheers.
Thank you for listening to the Mr. Bill Podcast.
Thank you for listening to the Mr. Bill Podcast.